I missed the part when you were explaining to us what your job was. Do you mind if you go through that again?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Acacia.
So essentially what I'm doing is helping to bring in a spiritual foundation into Zayador by integrating the indigenous values of the people who gave us the sacred mushroom in America this go round from the Aztec Compendium of Information, and also integrate it with other cultures that work with the mushroom as a sacred way, like in the Ivory Coast, like we're talking about Suleiman, the power of healing book, and his experience working with a spiritual double or doppelganger, and then also working with those people who use the mushroom in India and also Bali and Thailand, and have a mushroom culture that's associated, and then also Kemetic mushroom use and priesthood use, to explain that there are mysteries that are associated with the mushroom that are found in stories and cultural ritual and anthropological information. So such that if someone says, oh, I had a trip and I turned into a giant bird, it don't just stay, I had a trip and I turned into a giant bird. No, in Egypt we have a name for that bird, and that bird's name is Heru. You became Heru. Well, I conquered this inner lower force. Well, that inner lower nature, that evil nature that makes you want to be lustful and angry or frustrated, etc., is attributed also to Set and the victory of Heru over Set. So wow. To live the stories more than anything, and then to also show them that no matter what culture you come from, the mushroom is 200 million years old. Human beings have really only walked the earth for, they say, 5 earths. In the Aztec Compendium of Information, it says we're in the Kali Yuga. In the Vedic Compendium of Information, and in Africa, we've only been here so many times. Humans have walked the earth multiple times, but we still only go back like 30 million years at best on this planet. The conditions for human life were not favorable until that point, to the best of my understanding. Excuse me for a moment.
Would you repeat that, please? I'm just joking. Yeah, joking.
I mean, spicy popcorn too.
You want something to drink?
Sure.
Okay.
But what the whole point is so that people have the spiritual and cultural anthropological foundation that goes with the sacred mushroom, and not just the mainstream post-war on drugs psychedelic renaissance opinion of what it does for anxiety. It's not a pharmaceutical drug, it's a spirit. And because it's a spirit, you may enter into a trance. So if people don't know what a trance is, or awakened dreaming is, or what it is to transform, or what animism is, finding the spirit in all living things, they might wonder, well, I guess I'm on mushrooms, that's why the flower started talking to me. No, the flower started talking to you because the flower does that. It relates to the human. You're just now noticing that that's part of our original mystery system, which was that we could connect with the spirit of all living plants and living trees. When the tree starts talking to you, that's because that's how in ancient times, when you were a cow herder and you ate the mushroom, you go and check on the health of your trees, find out what they needed, if they're going to produce fruit in the right season, have conversations with their spirit, and encourage your trees. These are parts of the mystery school of farming and agriculture and herbalism, to be able to identify a plant. Ain't nobody in their right mind ever opened a walnut up and the first thing they thought was, oh, it looks like a brain. No, somebody was on some mushrooms and was looking at him like, wow, this kind of looks like that dead guy that I saw last week. Or I looked at a leaf and it was kidney shaped. How did they know what was in the human body without dissecting a human? Because when you eat the mushroom at a high enough dose, you can look through the flesh of somebody, and if you really focus your psychic energy, you can start seeing the meridian points that emit a bioluminescent glow. We're electric beings, so you have nerve clusters that emit certain electrical impulses to your brain. And when you're on the mushroom, your heightened sensitivity gives you access to be able to observe, thank you so much, to be able to observe the nerve impulses real time. So that's why you have Maori tattoos in New Zealand. You ever seen the Haka dancers of the Maori of New Zealand? Or in Thailand, how you have special sakyants that are ancestral tataus. And these tataus, or the tatau priests, are bound under pain of death to only draw on your skin what they actually see. So how can those priests see anything that's underneath your skin without the assistance of a sacred mushroom or a sacred plant that's entheogenic? They can't, unless you train your sensitivity up over years to be able to do so. So it's to give people who would not have a fundamental ritualistic and cultural anthropological background, who are coming into the mushroom, to be able to explore their own ancestry, what their own ancestors did as it relates to the art, music, poetry, literature, that all came from entheogenic type experiences, especially in ancient Kemet, especially in Africa. Whether you're in West Africa and you're looking at Omo, because that or Olu, as the name of the sacred mushroom, and the Yoruba, Olu, Oshun are all interchangeable for the word mushroom. I don't know.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Wow.
That Oshun is also another name for
talking
mushroom.
about, let alone
Did not know.
I'm just, I definitely didn't know.
And a lot of times there's names for where the mushrooms grow, especially the mushrooms of knowledge. And in the Ivory Coast and Sierra Leone area, they're called Tamu. So it makes me think about Tamu, Texas A&M University. But Tamu is the name of the sacred mushroom, or the condeside mushroom. And a lot of researchers are trying to look for psilocybin mushrooms, but they don't realize our people were intelligent enough to identify other species of mushroom that also contain psilocybin, like conocyde. Before the word conocyde was invented, it was just called the mushroom of action, or the mushroom of knowledge. There's also the mushroom of immortality as well. You know, and this is something that's been passed down from generation to generation, how to use it and how to conquer your spiritual double. You'll have experience with the mushroom where you meet yourself, but you meet the aspects of yourself that you weren't paying attention to, like how you talk to your son, or how you talk to your partner, or how you talk to yourself, and be able to identify the lower animal nature, or the bitterness and fear and anger, the things that are undesirable, or divine aspects that are in competition with your higher truth. So when you eliminate that by holding yourself and sending love to yourself in a certain kind of way, you improve as a human being your moral and ethical foundation. Because if you believe something, you take mushrooms, it'll strengthen your belief. And also, if you believe something that's probably not true, the mushroom's going to hammer at that inconsistency until it removes that lie. It's going to play true or false games with you. And that's why a lot of people have bad trips, because a lot of what they thought was true ended up being false. And now they got to cope with the fact that they've been lying to themselves and lying to their family for however many decades about what they thought to be true, based on something that they were told that they didn't even verify or question at the time, that now they understand it's not a requirement for them to continue living under this set of rules that are false guidance. So yeah, you know, it's to help liberate people and bring them closer to a cultural understanding and experiential cultural understanding.
Earlier, I heard you speaking of the Kemetic connection, and you were referencing Osiris. Can you go through that again?
Osiris is shaped like the mushroom. Osiris, or Asar, and his crown symbolizes a pinning mushroom. It looks like a mushroom pin, or a mushroom baby. When the psilocybin mushroom's about to grow into a full cap, it forms a round bead at the top, and that's the cap of the mushroom.
Yes.
And then when he has his arms crossed over his chest like this, he's making the mushroom cap with his arms and with his shoulders. And he is the Lord of the triple thick darkness. So being the Lord of the triple thick darkness and of the Duat, he is also Lord of the realm of the mushroom. And the mushroom will be taken by followers of Asar to self-actualize as Asar in many cases, or to commune with Asar, to go to the underworld and ask questions. And I've had this experience myself, eating 21 grams of mushrooms in Baba Kalendi's basement in front of the giant stone that he calls the Palantir stone. I had the experience of meeting Asar, and there are many, many kinds of Asar. So what was interesting to me was when I went down to the sub-plank length, I went down to Asar's basement, which was Baba's basement. I was like, where's Baba Kalendi? And Asar looks at me, and it's like looking at Hades from the cartoons almost.
Yes.
With the green face, and he looks at me, and he's like, And I'm like, uh-oh, did I get the wrong person? And he's like, oh, hold on a minute, I'll go get Kalendi. And it's like, face, 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 boom. Hi, you know, and it's like there's Baba Kalendi, but there are many different beings that were all utilizing the technology of Osiris, whose spirits became attached to that physical form. So as a sovereign being, you can have one person who identifies with the archetype or the energetic signature of Asar, and 450,000 other souls who came before it who did the same thing. Like in the Black Panther movie, you had a lineage of Black Panthers. All of the ancestors of the father, the grandfather, the great-great-grandfather in that lineage, all are the Black Panther, simultaneously hanging out in the grove of the ancestors. As offset by transforming and shapeshifting to a vibrational frequency that changes us on a molecular level into that god or goddess. And so you might be taking the mushrooms on 9 grams and feel a pinch in your back, and that's when the sexual energy of the kundalini, there's a blockage there. You feel the pain in your lower back, and the pain moves suddenly. Now all this energy shoots up from your sacral chakra to your crown. And then that when that shoots up to your crown, then you have the experience of transforming into Isis, and you are able to do the poses effortlessly because it's a frequency. It's an energy that is connected to your cerebral spinal fluid. And when you self-actualize, you are able to step into that form of your higher self and feel that divine power flowing through you on a massive scale that is greater than pretty much anything ever written about except what it is. You know, it shows you these gods and these goddesses, but they aren't really gods and goddesses at all. They're personalities of energies and motion. Energy and motion that you transform into one at a time as you go through your hero's journey. So this is to help guide people, like, so you don't just think that you saw a big bird on the trip and know that has an association. You know, that everything means something inside the mushroom, even though your brain, your mind is only able to process so much, and that's what gets turned into visions. You're feeling so much more than what can be expressed in vision or word, and that's why we say it's unimaginable. So yeah. That's a little bit about.
That's also why you should understand myth.
Yeah. Myth is rites of passage that were oftentimes initiatory. No, don't look at it. Don't look at it. You don't want to be on film.
Yes, myth is coded truth.
Yes. And the code or the primer oftentimes requires you to understand certain other stories so that you can get into the actual language of the Egyptian priesthood would look like gibberish to someone who understood Egyptian, because there is a sacred primer, there's a barrier there. And even the codice, the journey of the deified heart, which is also hieroglyphic or pictographic, that's a Mayan codice, that shows the mushroom being eaten, and then Quetzalcoatl cutting off the head of Xibalba, which is the god of death, and that's blocking his access to the underworld, and how many mushrooms he ate to get into the underworld where he met his ancestors and the non-human other. Because of the fact that pretty much nobody else who's working with the mushroom would want to do anything with these other than look at them as art. It was said that it was secret but hidden in plain sight. So if you were to eat the mushroom and stare at these hieroglyphics, they would rearrange themselves into a proper configuration and unlock different areas inside of your mind to take you on a mental journey into these places, to walk in the shoes of these actual non-fictional beings, but beings that just live in another world. They're also you. So, you know, it gives you a chance to change your avatar, to change who you are, to change the blueprint of your reality on so many levels if you understand the initiatory systems that were put in place to train you into these experiences. You know, it doesn't mean just take mushrooms once, you turned into a falcon and that's it, you're done, it's over. No, but to continue going up there and cleaning up your disorganized life, to continue going up there and finding out what your purpose is, why you came to this planet, what agreements you made with your ancestors, to help your ancestors not be in grief, to heal your lineage 7 generations behind you and 7 generations in front of you. That is the great work inside of this thing, outside of what you do for your own spiritual practice. What you can do is affect this reality, and I think that's what people are so afraid of, is because people like Terrence McKenna didn't like, if you take more than 5 grams, weird things start happening in your reality with the mushroom. Thank you.
She is just so good. Continue, please.
She's got to drink something.
No. That has nothing to do with her drinking.
So
That's liberating to think that you can get there.
but strange things will start happening in your reality. Things like miracles just happening oftentimes, or things that you said the mushroom told you not to do and you did it anyway, and something terrible happens, and you start wondering, well, how did I know not to do that thing? And it puts you in touch with your higher self in such a way that you become hyper aligned with your mission. And if you don't follow the straight and narrow, of course it's going to teach you by showing you where you got off track. But that's like in any ancestral system. If you become initiated and you don't follow the rites of initiation, you're still going, now that you know not to be ignorant, you're going to pay a toll for not being obedient to what you knew you were supposed to do. It's like telling your kid not to go play out in the center of the road, and then something happens to them. It hurts you, and it hurts the mushroom to see you go through things like that you knew were easily avoidable through the power of heightened discernment. So this helps people who are addicted to drugs and other things to think about, well, the mushroom said I need to stop drinking alcohol. Okay, so you go out with your friends some night and you think about sipping some alcohol, so you get to the counter, you order a drink, and then you walk away from the counter because you remember you're not supposed to drink no alcohol. Later that night, some guy at the same counter gets shot, and then you think, well, what would have happened if I was sitting at that same counter drinking alcohol? And then it's lessons like that teach you to stay away from what you know is hurting you, because it's shown you in plain sight that you are protected enough to not have to go through the damage or the karma or the expression of the negative energy that would have come had you followed your old behavior or stayed in your old lifestyle. Even people on methamphetamine who come to us. There's a girl who came to us a few months ago who was addicted heavily to methamphetamine, and she pretty much cried, and she went through a really rough trip. And she said, I never want to do this to my body again. I'm like a walking dead person, I'm tearing up my body. And it's when people feel what they've been deluding themselves from. The problem with methamphetamine, though, is that it causes holes to be created in your brain. So you don't even remember how you felt 5 seconds ago. You just know that you want more. And so that's why we have to repair people's brains by helping to connect the old synapses and form stronger connections between the memory centers of the brain and the consciousness. Because if you're not conscious of everything that you've given up and how you've lost and screwed up your life, then you're going to keep doing the same old messed up behaviors. But if you are very, very much aware of the pain you've caused yourself, after a while you'll just say, I can't do this anymore. I got to try something different. And then that's where the sacred mushroom comes in, is because it shows you what you actually came here to do, and it doesn't give you a purpose. It helps you remember what your original purpose is. So it's not going to give you the temporary happiness that many antidepressant drugs will. That will give you a happy feeling, but you still got no purpose and no direction in life. So you're going to keep making the same mistakes that you were making before. And that's the difference. That's why the mushroom can be so life-changing, especially when it is kept in context of the mystery systems where it came from, instead of being brought in as a pharmaceutical type drug. The hallucinations aren't hallucinations at all. That's all your visual cortex can handle to process, to break down into images, so that you can see what is the metaphysical energy of my body when it's awakened and it's in that heightened, pleasurable state. Okay, so I look like Bastet. I feel liberated. I feel like I want to clean my house. I feel like I want to be more assertive with my words. I feel like I'm not going to let anybody try to tell me something that I know to be wrong. I'm going to be a woman. And to carry ourselves through womanhood without being beat down and deluded, as so many women I feel like in the hood are, or they feel like they don't have an option of someone to talk to, or they feel like they need somebody to tell them what is and what isn't good, or who is and who isn't good. And maybe they're stuck in relationships that are abusive. Maybe they've been sexually molested and raped. Maybe they feel like they don't have an option to leave a relationship because they got kids. But then you introduce the sacred mushroom and they remember who they are. They're Isis. They're Aset. They're Bastet. They're Sekhmet. They're able to take the form of Sekhmet and cut the bond to this toxic individual who's causing them trouble. Or they're able to take the form of Nekbet, and somebody died in their life. They're able to honor the dead instead of grieve so terribly because they have no context for it. Okay? So yeah, that's... I really want to see people have that aha moment where they realize that they don't have to pay a lot of money to get healing. They just need to reclaim the knowledge.
Exactly. Because the place that Leo was going to go to was
Standing old,
$40,000. Yes.
Standing old.
And he sat here
Oh,
the day before he was to leave, complaining to me and insulting me like, you're sending me to this place. And the place I was going to go to, and he named all the stuff they had, but it was $40,000.
And it wasn't effective.
And he had no idea if it would be effective.
I told him that he needed somebody to be able to look inside his body and tell him exactly what was wrong. And he did. He got to the diviner that my teacher has access to, and was able to.
And she was super bad.
Yes.
Anytime you can read smoke. Yeah, no?
You know, you read Uncle Nearest. That's a joke between her and I. She doesn't do any of that.
I didn't even hear what you said.
Okay, good. Then don't even worry that it didn't tarnish you one bit.
Well, for me, I don't have very much experience with doing divination outside of the mushroom. But when you take the mushroom and you are very respectful towards it, it will give you abilities like divination. And I remember, this is a horrible joke. I won't make the joke.
Come on, no.
It came to mind.
I said, I man, with the mushroom, I could probably divine a piece of toilet paper.
It's made out of molecules.
Yeah,
Yes.
it fell a certain way.
How many bottoms have you seen today?
Yes, but it's like asking directly and petitioning that the Supreme for information that may remain secret. But if you petition and you give offerings and you are innocent and have a pure heart and you come humble and with humility, like you can get a lot of work done. I've had moments where I didn't know which way was up or down, and I ate the mushroom, and I really just let it do what it needed to do inside of me, and then it gave me the answers that I wanted after I had made the changes necessary inside to make the alignment happen. And I think that a lot of grown men want to take the mushroom and they don't really want to surrender to it because that's felt like it's a feminine thing. But that is part of the mystery, is allowing the mushroom to guide you and be the sage inside of you. And that's why Asar was given the personality of the mushroom, because no matter who you were at ancient Kemet, you knew that Osiris was the boss of the underworld. So just like the mushroom is called Tionanacadal in the Aztec Compendium of Information in Nahuatl, which means the flesh of God, the mushroom being the persona of Asar and Kemet was so that you knew that it was the voice of the judge, the voice of the ancestral judge. And that commanded a certain level of respect, no matter if you were male or female or man or child. You knew that when you went into the underworld, that you had respect for that place. It wasn't a place that you went to party, And if you were partying, you were partying amongst the gods in a way that was in their honor,
Okay.
But in your honor at the same time, because it wasn't polytheistic in Kemet. It was still monotheistic. It was still monotheistic in the way of Atum and Re, or Atum and Yaaset, who is the right hand of creation. Once this world was created and set forth, Ra, or the sun god, the light, pervaded everything, even down to even down to the subparticle. Everything was inside the light.
Right.
So when we gave thanks to Ra, we're giving thanks to all the deities at the same time, inside of everything that exists. Everything that is reality is composed of light, even if it's black as night. Even the triple thick darkness is only triple fold thick. You've still got Asar, who represents the mushroom and the light, inside that place, and that is the hall of judgment. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, at least.
And that's why they say we're people of the sun.
Yes.
You see.
And that explains the picture that I have on my bedroom wall. Remember the statuette of, more or less, that was brought to the house by this guy.
Oh,
who,
yeah.
he brought it on a dolly, and he said, "This belongs at your house." And so I took it in, of course, because all right, then I painted it or what have you. But now I get clarity about this, because this is what it's doing.
And the crook and the flail are so that
See, crook and flail.
it'll pull you in the right direction, and it'll whoop you if you go in the wrong direction. So that you stay in line. That's the ultimate guide.
Since I can see my the picture of my bedroom, she just gave clarity to it.
Wow.
And Baba Kalindi is one of the ones who initially taught this history of Kemet being the place where the Apis bull, who was sacred, who was also Hathor,
Okay.
but the Apis bull is the white bull there in Kemet that has the Brahma type hump in it. The Apis bull would eat canary grass, which contains N,N-dimethyltryptamine. DMT is in the grass.
Okay.
So when the cow poops, it creates a substrate that's rich in DMT. So when the mushroom grows out of the substrate, the Tamarian blue mushroom, which is the sacred mushroom of the house of all the sacred houses of the priesthoods of Kemet, when they ate that mushroom, it was filled with the maximum alkaloids to take you deeper into the underworld, so that when they went down there, they could draw what they saw, which was the pyramids that exist on the sub-Planck length level, on the nanodiamonds, the carbon molecules that built the last Younger Dryas civilization. When they go and study those, they go and see the carbon pyramids, and then go into the places that are sub-Planck length, where reality is built from below the light. And in those areas, they would say, okay, well, it corresponds to the constellations above our heads. It corresponds, we're going deeper, because that's where this came from. That's where Nuke came from. That's from the subparticle realms. Geb and Nuke were the children of Atum. And Geb was the earth, and Nuke was the stars. Remember that? The woman with the stars?
Yeah, okay.
Leaning over the earth. And so when you see this, you gotta think, okay, well, if in Egyptian mythology, the sky and the earth are personified, that means that they were brought into fruition of being somehow by Atum. And Atum is who? Who is Atum?
Who's Atum?
Does anyone know who Atum Ray is?
My mind.
Is there another name, a Kemetic name for Atum?
We used to have that restaurant named Acacea. I just can't think of.
No, she didn't say
Atum is the atom.
Oh, Acacea.
Oh,
ATUM.
the atom,
Yes.
the smallest particle
Yes.
that exists.
Exactly.
See, click.
Yeah,
So
that,
that's
in
where
fact, that is
Gavin knew
Atum
we're
is
born
Latin
from.
for Adam.
Yes.
Duh.
Wow.
And if that's
See how
everything
you have
that
to be familiar
exists,
with all kind of stuff in order to.
We had that
We had
conversation
to-
last.
Yesterday.
you have to be a little bit of an
Yesterday.
esoteric metaphysician to be able to understand the word use and then what the vibration means when we say ah or ashe or amazing. The atum, atom.